Hi, my name is Elisa Di Napoli, and I am a holistic clinical hypnotherapist and a coach. And today I want to share with you possibly one of the most important insights and piece of information that you really need to have in order to understand how to accelerate change and achieve your goals. Now, I've been told all my life, throughout my many years of personal development and therapy, all kinds of coaching and psychotherapy and counseling and hypnotherapy, that it takes forever to change. That, if you want to change, well, this is probably going to be something that you will have to try to achieve for a number of years, and then maybe at the end of your life, you'll manage to get somewhere. And I thought this was rather disappointing, and I didn't really quite believe it, 100%. So, what is it? You have to wait until you're 90 in order to really understand yourself. Of course, self development does take a lifetime, don't get me wrong, but mm, I feel, and my experience has been that what's really important is your mindset, your focus in your life. And I've worked now with hundreds of clients over the past 25 years. I know that it is possible to change in a lot less time. Of course, there's work that you need to do, there's a level of mental fitness that you have to keep practicing at, but you can transform. Your life can change. And so it's simply not true that you have to wait until you are pretty much about to die to actually get somewhere. Um, the most important thing to remember is that as we come to this planet, your mind has got pretty much only one job, and that job is to make sure that you live, that you survive, that you live as long a life as possible, right? And so, how does the mind do that? How can it do that job? But it always looks for what causes you pain so that it can avoid it in future. So the only way your mind can make sure that you live a long life, it's always to be looking for dangers, what causes you pain, emotional or physical, and then make sure that you avoid it at all costs for the rest of your life, right? So your mind is listening. It is listening all the time to the messages that you give it. And it does what it thinks that you want it to do. So it's like the crew of a ship, that is just waiting for your instructions to tell it, where are we going today? you know, and you are the captain, and you tell your crew, okay, we're going to Hell Island, or we're going to Pleasure Island, Fun Island, Creativity Island. Wherever you tell your mind you want to go, your mind is listening and is going to get you there as much as it can. But the thing is that your mind doesn't really understand the difference between good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, positive, or negative. It will basically strive, your subconscious, that is a striving mechanism, a goal striving mechanism, and it will strive to get you there. You need to set the destination, right? So, for example, if you were thinking all the time, I don't want to get unfit, I don't want to get fat, I don't want to get fat, that would be the worst thing for me. Um, don't think about getting fat, just don't, it's a terrible thing. You do not want to get fat because you definitely don't want to get fat. If you do, it's going to be a disaster. Do anything else, but just don't get fat. Now, if you keep telling your mind this kind of message, well, your mind is going to hear fat, 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 fat. Oh, that's what we're doing. We're getting fat. Why? Because your mind doesn't see the difference between um, something that you are telling it that you want and something that you don't want, because the not part of that is not an actual object. So your mind will just instantly visualize the very thing you are discussing. If I give you another example, if I said to you now, "I don't think about a red bus on a hill on fire," well, what did you just imagine? So the fire, the hill, the bus, they're all things, they're all objects, they're all things that you can imagine, but the knot is just an, a word that doesn't have any actual content in itself. It only is a word that can be used to deny an object that exists in reality, right? So the other, so a lot of us, what do? We're constantly telling our minds what we don't want. We're saying, "Oh my God, I hate this commute, or I hate my job, or it's just so stressful. This is a nightmare. This is torture, etc., etc." And your mind is listening, going, "Oh my God, torture, hell, nightmare. Well, we better do something to avoid this. This is not what we want." So maybe you will say, "Oh, I know what. So the job is bad for you, so we'll give you panic attacks. We'll make you ill." Um, this is may seem far fetched, but how many times has that actually happened to you? Maybe you've been working really hard, maybe too hard, and then maybe you say to yourself, "Oh God, I'll give it anything to just lie in bed for a week." And your subconscious is listening and going, "Ooh, lie in bed for a week. I know, I'll give you the flu." And of course, you may think, "Well, this is all well and good, but it doesn't really work for me. Nothing works for me. I've tried everything, it just doesn't work." And you got to be careful with those kind of words, because your words shape your reality. The last three words you say to yourself is what your brain is hearing and remembering. So if you say something like that to yourself, that becomes a belief. And belief is something that you make by repeating a thought again and again and again until it becomes certain. But then that belief is going to shape your life. So you make the belief, and then belief makes you. So it's really important to stop saying to yourself what you don't want. After all, if you wanted to go to Rome, you wouldn't spend all your time going, "Well, I don't want to go to Paris, and I don't want to go to Moscow, and I don't want to go to New York," because you're not going to get to Rome, are you? You've got to think about Rome and how to get to Rome. Another example could be that you want to shed some weight, right? But then you say to yourself, "Oh, I need to lose some weight, but oh God, I love cakes. My God, I just love cake. I can't do without cakes." Um, Immediately you are imagining the perfect cake, and you think of the taste, and you think how good it's going to be when you have it, and then you think, "Oh, it's gonna be so good when I have that cake. I'm gonna taste this. It's gonna be great." And then you go on a date with a friend to a cafe, and the friend goes, "Oh, let's have some cake," and you're like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm on a diet. I'm on a diet. So I'm gonna lose some weight. I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna eat it." In the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Oh, the cake. Oh God," and you're imagining this cake and how wonderful it just smells and it's going to taste. And the more you do that, the more you're going to want to have that cake, and you're just going to have it at the end, because whenever there's a conflict between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, well, guess what? Your subconscious has been a lot longer around the block, and it's going to win, right? It's going to win. So it's about instead choosing something better for yourself. So in that instance, it would be something about thinking about how you love your body and you want your body to be trim. And yeah, sure, you may like cake, but you like your body being trim more. You like that feeling of fitness. You like all the things you're going to be able to do when you are that fit. So you imagine those things that you want, and they have to have enough intensity to trump your desire for cake. And you can say, "Well, I can have a cake, once a month. Yeah, that's fine. But the rest of the time, I'm going to choose to have a trim body instead because that matters to me more. So you see, you've changed completely the story, you've changed what you're saying to yourself, and you're making cake. You can even make cake if you want something bad. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do that, but sometimes that can help too. If you're more inclined to respond to negative suggestions, negative self-talk, well, you could use it. You could say to yourself, oh, cake, cake means being fat, and feeling bad and bloated. If you started thinking about cake that way, well, I can guarantee you're not going to want cake. So you need to really choose your thoughts, choose to focus on what you want, and choose the language that you use so that it is language that reflects what you want rather than what you don't. Language that empowers you rather than disempowering you. So remember, your mind's job is to move you away from pain towards pleasure. So you need to make what you want pleasurable and what you don't want painful. It's actually quite simple, but that's what you need to remember. You need to tell your mind that you love doing this thing that you want to do, no matter what that might be, and that you hate doing the opposite. So what I'd like to invite you to do now is to take a piece of paper and start thinking about putting this into practice, which means thinking about where you want to go in your life. How do you want to respond to a situation that perhaps is being uncomfortable for you? Maybe you want to change a habit. So take a piece of paper and divide it in two columns. And on one column, I want you to write nightmare. All your go-to negative, disempowering, toxic thoughts and beliefs that happen to come to you automatically whenever you think about that situation. And just write them down. Write down all the negative stuff on the left-hand side. And these are the things that you usually associate with that activity. It's a nightmare, it's boring, I hate it, I'm bad at it, I'm incompetent, I'm not good enough, all that stuff, right? And then on the other side, I want you to start thinking about what you need to say to yourself in order to actually enjoy that new habit, to actually really like that new habit in your life. What would your beliefs need to be in order for you to actually do that thing? And so there's a couple of ways of doing this. One way is to just flip the negative into the positive completely. So if, for example, the negative was, I hate giving presentations, you could flip it into, I love doing presentations. But if that doesn't work for you, this will work for some people, but for some people that doesn't work because they're like, well, I don't believe that. Okay, so of course you don't believe it because your experience has told you so far that presentations are terrible for you, right? But all you're really doing here is look backwards. It's like you're driving a car and you're looking at the rear view mirror instead of in front of you. So you're looking at all the negative experiences of the past, and that's exactly what they are. They're experiences from the past. There are cars in the back of the car, not in front of the car. And so really what you're doing is you're trying to communicate to your mind what you want. You're opening the door. You're giving yourself a chance for something different. Now, if that still doesn't work for you, what you can do is make these right-hand column suggestions or incantations or affirmations, whatever you'd like to call them. You can make them progressive, which basically means that they move in time. So something like, every time I present, I get better and better at it. Every time I present, I enjoy it more and more. Now that's something that it's easier to believe in, right? So you could do that. The other thing you can do is go a little sideways, meaning rather than being totally left brained, kind of tap into the right brain or the heart or the intuition, however you like to think of it, and just close your eyes for a moment, put your hand on your heart and relax, first of all. And then ask your heart, I've got this problem. What would what would really help me? How do I need to think about this in order to overcome it, the obstacle? You can ask your heart, or you can use archetypes. So you could ask the warrior inside of you. How would the warrior inside of you look at the situation? What would the warrior say to you? Remember, the truth, the deeper truth is blah, blah, blah. You can do this. You're stronger than your fear, whatever it may be. And this is going to be different for you than for me because you're a different human being. So, what we need to remember about affirmations, incantations, suggestions in the right hand columns, these are your empowering beliefs. And they are beliefs you choose for yourself and that you reinforce by repetition every single day. You say them out loud. You really embody them, and you think about how you would say them if you really believe them to be true. You imagine the benefits of them when they are true. So that's what you're working for. So it's important that you do this exercise. You take some time for yourself because this is time very, very well spent. If you don't do this exercise, all that's really happening is that you are allowing your conditioning from all the things that you learned, all the things that have happened to you, to basically decide the course of your life, because they will inform your subconscious mind of what the goal is. And if the goal is negative, you're going to get there. So if you want to change that, you need to change the goal. And in order to change the goal, you need to change the way you are talking to yourself and the focus of your attention. So once you've done this exercise, you've got your right hand column sorted. What you want to do next is you want to say these affirmations, suggestions, incantations out loud every day, repetitively, until you really believe them, until they become a reality. They become your new beliefs. And in order for you to do that, you need to just keep going, keep going, keep going, reinforce, 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 until they become much more natural and automatic. Thank you for listening today, and let me know how you go with this exercise.